Yeah, you see it right there. I've got a question. Why is it that CBS feel it needs to basically air the Thanksgiving Day parade, the same Thanksgiving Day parade that NBC airs on at the same time? It's basically the same parade. Now, some of you might ask, well, maybe because they want to give a different perspective, give fans a different perspective, give them a different kind of feel, stuff like that. And that might be true. I mean, you do get different performances, and not in one location, but in different locations. So I can understand that. I totally do. But with that exception, you're basically getting the same parade, but from a different angle sometimes, different camera angles. So really, why do it? I mean, I remember when CBS did a Thanksgiving Day parade, they didn't rely on broadcasting the same parade with a few different exceptions here and there. Here, just to try to differentiate themselves from NBC. No. They would actually do, I remember when they would do a Thanksgiving Day parade, that they would do it from all parts of the country. In fact, the one co-host of Kevin Frazier's, I can't think of her name, her name was Katie something. She said that CBS had been covering it for the past 50 years. That might be true. 50 years or something like that, so you would say about 67, right? But have they been covering the same parade NBC's been covering? I don't think so. I think, honestly, they've been covering different parades. Because I remember when CBS would air a Thanksgiving Day parade, it would be just as long as Macy's, maybe a bit shorter, or the NBC Macy's one, a bit shorter maybe at times, but they would air it as the All-American Thanksgiving Day parade. Not the Thanksgiving Day parade on CBS, which is basically the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. They would broadcast it as the All-American. And what they would do by calling it that is they would go to different parts of the country and show their Thanksgiving Day parades. They would of course focus on New York and on Macy's, but then they would go to Philadelphia. They would go to Dallas. They would go to San Francisco. They would go to Orlando. They would go to any of the major cities that would host a traditional Thanksgiving Day parade. Even across the bridge, they would go to Boston, because Boston would have one. They would go everywhere. So why didn't CBS stick to that tradition? Why? Now, I could probably chop it up to the fact that maybe it was too expensive for them. Maybe it cost too much. Maybe. I think CBS came under ownership or came into a partnership with Viacom and Paramount. So maybe the people at Viacom and Paramount felt that it wasn't necessary for them to broadcast all over, and maybe it was too cost efficient, or not cost efficient, but cost a little too much. Maybe they felt that the audience wasn't that stupid. Maybe the audience felt like, yeah, we know this is taped, or we know this is delayed. Just focus on the parade we all know of. Maybe they felt that way. I don't know. But to me, when I look at CBS basically broadcasting the same parade, different parade host, I'll give you that. But when I see them broadcasting the same parade, and they throw in their own little, Broadway shows and singing acts, musical artists and all that. When I see CBS with those exceptions, basically showing the same one, and sometimes the camera angles will be different and stuff. It's like, why not just collaborate with NBC, make a deal that for that one day and one day only of the year, that Matt Lauer, Al Roker, and Savannah Guthrie will be your host of the parade, and go from there. Why not just what's the word? Why not just co-broadcast it across both networks? Make a deal, like I say, with NBC to where Matt Lauer, Savannah Guthrie, and Al Roker for one day only will host a parade across all networks, across those two networks. It's like basically if CBS, which aired Frosty the Snowman and Frosty Returns last night, as well as going to be airing in just a little bit Robbie the Reindeer specials, as well as the story of Santa Claus, and then this Tuesday air Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It'd be like if they were airing those and ABC decided to co-air them at the same time or air them an hour or two afterwards. It's like, or a few minutes after they originally started, or before they started. It's like if ABC decided, oh, you're going to air Rudolph? We'll air them at the same time, but maybe a few minutes later, or a few minutes early, or maybe an hour later. It's like, what's the point? It's like, what's the point if you're showing the same special on the same night, simultaneously at the same time? It doesn't make sense unless you make some kind of joint effort and say, let's put our differences aside, or competitive differences away from the side for one day, and let's just simulcast as the parade with one group of hosts. That's all they have to do. I mean, again, what sense would it make you're tuning in to watch to do your traditional watch of Rudolph, and then all of a sudden it goes to commercial, you decide, okay, I'm going to take the remote, I'm going to see what's on ABC, and then you see that it's Rudolph. Or you're going to ABC, soon it goes to commercial, you switch over to, you kind of start channel surfing and see what other specials are on, and then you go to ABC, and then all of a sudden Rudolph comes on almost simultaneously at the same time it comes on CBS, and you're thinking, wait a minute, this is ABC, not CBS, what the heck? The point is, the thing I'm getting across is, what's the point? What's the point if you're just basically going to simulcast as the same, I mean, what's the point if you're just going to broadcast, if not simulcast, the same parade, but at a different angle and everything, maybe with different entertainment, Broadway musicals and performers? What's the point? There is no point. I mean, here's what I don't get. If CBS is basically airing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade at the same time NBC is, then what are they afraid of? I mean, it's like I said, it's better if they simulcast for one day only, put the differences aside, and simulcast the damn parade on both networks, and basically announce that for one day only, for one day of the year, you're going to have Al Roker, Matt Lauer, and Savannah Guthrie hosting the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which you could see on NBC and CBS. Oh, and by the way, nowadays you can see on YouTube and stuff. So, what's the initial point? I don't get it. What's the initial point of trying to be different? You know, because here's the thing. When CBS traditionally broadcast Frosty and Rudolph, you know, they always say, this broadcast of the Holiday Classic is brought to you by Macy's. If Macy's is sponsoring their special, the traditional broadcast of these holiday Christmas specials, then why don't they just work with Macy's NBC and do a simulcast of the parade on the network as well. And then, like I said, for one day, make the announcement that for one day only, NBC's Al Roker, Savannah Guthrie, and Matt Lauer are going to host the Thanksgiving Day Parade, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on both networks. To me it makes more sense. It makes more sense. Because, like I said, the only difference between both parades, not both parades, but the difference between both broadcasts of that same parade is CBS uses a sound stage, obviously at the studios, to introduce their own Broadway musicals and plays. And true, they'll intervene them throughout the entire parade. Like later on in the second or third hour, they'll bring on the singing art, a musical artist or a Broadway musical. Okay, those are the only differences maybe. Maybe the format's a little different when it comes to the non-parade portions of the broadcast, but it's like, really, what's different other than that? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, if I'm CBS, I'd rather go back to the all-American format and try to see if there are still those out there, and I think they are. I would try to at least do the all-American format again and broadcast, a different plate, and try to showcase at different times different Thanksgiving Day parades from different parts of the country. It makes more sense for CBS because that makes them more different. I mean, you could cut to New York, you could go to Philadelphia, you could go to San Antonio, you can go to Orlando. It makes it more unique and different. Heck, in the past when they would do the All-American Thanksgiving Day Parade, they would actually hold off on New York until the very end. Because they would give proper time, or at least semi-proper time, to the other Thanksgiving Day parades around the country. I'm just saying. But, I'm just curious about. To me, it's just. I really don't honestly have a problem because nowadays with technology, like DVRs and everything, you could DVR both parades so that if you have something like a DVD, or even if you're fortunate enough to have a Blu-ray recorder, you can record them onto DVD and basically say, yeah, I have both the NBC Macy's one and the CBS Macy's one. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. If I'm CBS, if I'm someone at CBS, I make the suggestion to try to go back to the all-American format because honestly, I think it worked, it benefited them, and it made them different. And they always, like I said, saved the Macy's portion for last. Because that was always like, you want to get back there in time for Santa Claus's appearance. So, I'm just wondering why doesn't CBS do one or two things? Either do a simulcast with NBC and basically have for one day only Roker, Lauer, and Guthrie do the parade across both networks, and then that's it. Or go back to the all-American format, which to me probably makes a little bit more sense for them to do. If they don't want to do a simulcast. I'm just saying. But that's all I'm going to say on this subject. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I'm out.